I'm starting to think there's a conspiracy here. Look at this. Again, we're playing almost all the big teams, one after the other. United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and then we do it again in April. Now, hopefully we've hit the 40-point mark by then, but good grief, I need to speak to someone at the league about this. Hello everyone, welcome back to fairlydeterminedfm with me. My name is Chris. I hope you're all doing well. Came in a bit hot there, I'm sorry. I've had a load of problems this morning. My key light stopped working, it completely lost connection to the network. My mic stand keeps drooping like an old man's, you know, stuff. I've had a cold for longer than I would like, which is why this video is late. Apologies for all that. Yeah, I've been a bit under the weather. I'm still a bit under the weather now, but I'm powering through, because otherwise this video is never going to get out. Right, where are we? Season 3, Sunderland. Let's get into it. As far as I'm concerned, it's more of the same. We did quite well last year. I want to do a little bit better than that this year, and maybe try and hit like 10th or 11th, somewhere around that. I feel like that's a reasonably realistic aim for us this year. So in terms of the system, I'm definitely going to be using the to the wind variant that we happened upon towards the tail end of last season, because the attacking mentality seemed to freak out a lot of the opposition, and we got some good results. Games were a bit bonkers as well. But I am going to be reducing the passing directness because we were giving the ball away far too often. Did not like that. But we're also training a brand new system as well, which I'm calling the shithouse variant. Now the idea behind this system, as you can see, is just to make the game as miserable as possible for everyone involved. It's mostly going to be used against the big boys. So that horrible run we've got, the United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, City run, that one. Let's talk about some transfers. The first one being Jarrell Kwanzaa joining the club full-time, one of our players, for 3.5 million from Liverpool. We finally got him. He's basically been our player for 2 years anyway. It's just now it's official. I'm going to say this one wrong, but here we go. Bastien Mwepu joins from Nantes for £8 million. He can play in a couple of positions, but I'm mostly going to be training him up as a backup for Churkin at left back. Luca Lopez joins from Defensa y Justicia for £12 million. He's going to be our future #1 goalkeeper. For now, going to be playing in cup competitions, but he will eventually be supplanting Andreas Jungdahl. Tyler Dibling joins us from Leeds. He had a very low relegation release clause of around £16 million, and it was just a no-brainer. He's a very, very good young player, and we've now got him, Roberts, Marquinhos, and Adingra, who can all play on either wing. Very good. Versatility. Leo Castledine joins from Chelsea, another one for the future, but I reckon he can make an appearance or two off the bench throughout the season. Quite an exciting young player, I think, but again, if he doesn't perform, we can sell him on for profit. Money! So those are the ins, but there are some outs as well. The Luca Lopez signing means that Patterson leaves the club. He joins Fulham for 2.5 million, and he was decent for us in patches, but just wasn't consistent enough for me. Pablo Luconian also leaves the club. He joins Hull for 2.5 million pounds. Like Patterson, he just wasn't really cut out for this level, and I was using him less and less. That's kind of it in terms of ins and outs in the system. Because we've had the last 2 episodes, I don't need to go into it in too much depth. If you missed those, they're probably in the description if I've remembered to do it. If not, find them on my channel. It sits here. I'll put a blinky thing here. I'm putting a lot of work in for my editor here, who is also me. Idiot. Anyway, whatever. Here we go. First game of the season, Spurs. Kwanzaa gets himself sent off in the 5th minute, which is just awesome and means that we have to go uber defensive from now on. Unbelievably though, Dominguez puts us ahead in the 29th minute. Spurs unfortunately equalise a couple of minutes later. A goal from Udogie early in the second half then puts them ahead. Finishes 2-1, but I think, considering we're playing with 10 men for 85 minutes, I think that's pretty good. I'm not going to be too disheartened by that. I would love to know the sort of Cody algorithm-y thing that generates these social media posts that happens after the game, because Pat O'Rourke has got this to say, which is just, I mean, maybe Pat O'Rourke would like to give this a try himself. Would you, Pat? It was slightly better against Forest, but it's still only a 1-1 draw, and I feel like I need to highlight at this point Jobe Bellingham. He's not really doing it in the Premier League so far. 6.7 average rating last season, 6.6 in the first 2 games of this season. I can't lie, he's on a list of players that I'd be willing to sell. We make another signing before the transfer window is through, and this one is a young man from Japan called Shinya Watabe. I'm not gonna lie, I signed him for his pace. 17, mad. Very, very fast. Halil Prendy, who we signed sort of tail end of last season, so I think I included him in the last video, but if I didn't, Halil Prendy, young wonder kid, he makes his debut in the next game at home to Brighton, and he rattles the crossbar with this effort before Brighton take the lead. It's a bit of a poor first half, if I'm honest. New signing Watabe, on as a half-time sub, sets up our equaliser. Modeste puts Brighton back in the lead not long after. Our defence is poor, it would seem. Watabe, though, is definitely not. He sets up our second equaliser. Bellingham scores both of them, and it's another draw. 2-2. Bellingham must have heard me complaining about how average he can be. He's responded well. A rotated squad sees us through to the next round of the Carabao Cup with a 2-0 win against Port Vale. I think this is the first time we've progressed in this cup in this entire save. We're absolutely embarrassed by West Ham, and then Everton knock us out of the Carabao Cup, and we're in trouble. We cannot score and we cannot defend. This is a problem. It's the problem. Now, as I normally do when my football teams forget how to play football, is I tinker. I do a fair bit of tinkering, and it almost never works. This is what I come up with. 5 players on defence, so we can hopefully stop conceding. Everyone else a little more forward-thinking, and the key for now is just not to lose. High-flying Palace are first up against this new system, and an even game ends 0-0. This is exactly what I wanted, though. All of our defence, bar Huggins, on a 7+ rating. Better. Then Wolves batter us, and we're back to square one. What even do you do when you cannot do football? Yeah, that's right, you switch to a preset, the 4-2-4 Gegenpress, to be precise. Yeah, sure, it's not as fun as cobbling your own brand of tactical insanity together, but I'm really, really tired of losing. Oh, look at that! A win! Goals from goal-shy Christian Dominguez give us a 2-1 win. So, at the end of our utterly terrible August and September, we sit 17th in the league, on a whopping 6 points. We suck. Tyler Dibbling gets his first goal for the club in a 1-0 win against Brentford. That's followed by a 2-2 draw with Burnley and then a miserable 2-1 loss to Southampton. I don't know if we're getting better or not. We're 13th, which is better than 17th, but what's super exciting is that we've got our run of death coming up very, very soon. So if we could get 6 points against Leicester and Bournemouth, that would make that run slightly less scary. Scary, but slightly less scary. We go on to lose 2-0 to Leicester, and it's at this point that I start to question my entire existence. Is this really what I'm on this earth for? To watch subpar players play subpar football, all the while knowing deep down in my core that I am the puppet master behind this relentless display of mediocrity. The world is such an incredible place. It's full of life and death and power and energy. It's full of strength, compassion, joy, art, music, love, and soul. All of existence on a blue orb floating in an endless expanse of cosmic mystery. In a world of infinite possibility, I am here in this uncomfortably hot office, orchestrating failure. It makes me wonder if I'm even alive. Anyway, welcome to Aston Villa. Yeah, alright, look, this has come out of nowhere. I understand that. I understand this is a bit of a left field twist for this video. I understand. Basically, they sacked Sean Dyche and came to me straight away. No hesitation, straight to me. My contract at Sunderland as well was up at the end of this season anyway, and it's Villa. Like, they're a big club. They had Europe last year. Maybe I could get them into Europe this year. Maybe. But really, they offered me an extra 20 grand a week on my contract, which I know really is meaningless because you can't do anything with the money in this game anyway, but, you know, whatever. Villa, though, is a club that needs some work. Finances are an absolute joke. There's no staff, and the squad is getting on a bit and could probably do with a bit of a refresh. Tyrone Mings is still sodding playing. Tyrone Mings! I've got to do the first bit of the video again now, but with a different club. It's weird. I've decided on this sort of like 4-3-3 for Aston Villa. High pressing, lots of dribbling, trying to make the most out of set pieces. John McGinn doing John McGinn things in the middle of the park. There's a good chance to get the crowd on side in our first match against Everton. Brennan Johnson gets the first goal of my new reign, and Zito Luvumbo gets the second. Johnson pops up with another, and the new manager bounce is in full effect. Luvumbo gets his second and our fourth in the second half, and we are cruising. Not a bad first game in charge. Now that I've seen what these guys can do, let's have a little look at them. Starting with Zito Luvumbo, scorer of 2 goals in the last game. He's pacey, he likes to dribble, his work rate is a bit low for my liking, but he's going to start quite a lot, I think, based on that performance. Of course, Ollie Watkins, he's 31 now, but he still has incredible work rate, also rapid, and he's coming up on 250 appearances for Villa. My immediate concern is centre-back. We've got Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa, who are very, very good defenders, but they are getting on a bit, and we've only really got Kerr Smith in terms of young centre-backs. We need backups. We need a lot of backups. It's a similar story in goal. We've got Emi Martinez, who we all know is fantastic, but that's it. We don't have anyone young coming through. It's classic Football Manager AI squad building where they just don't bring young players in. at all. Oh, and this is pissing rich as well. Former Aston Villa manager Sean Sodding Dyche is questioning struggling Aston Villa without a hint of irony, the actual cheek of it. We name an unchanged lineup to face Spurs, and Ollie Watkins rewards my faith in him with a great goal. Sun levels it up for Spurs in the second half and should win it, but they hit the post only to go on and score the actual winner shortly after. I wonder how Sunderland got on. Well, that's nice. That's nice for them. It's fine. It's good. It's good. Ollie Watkins puts us ahead against Forest, and Boubacar Kamara puts us further ahead in the second half. Forest pull one back late on, but we hold on and get the win. So after 3 games in charge, 2 wins and a loss, we're up to 11th in the table, just behind Sunderland, just behind Sunderland. Evan Ferguson scores early in our next game against Brighton, but goals from Watkins and Johnson put us in the lead after 25 minutes, and it's a lead we hold for the rest of the game. December is a bit of a hectic month, and it ends up looking like this. There's a 0-0 against West Ham. We're through to the semi-final of the Carabao Cup on penalties thanks to Martinez against Arsenal. There's a very poor 2-0 loss to Palace, a 2-1 win against Bournemouth, a 1-0 win over Wolves, but it really should have been more, and a 1-0 loss to Chelsea. We could probably do with scoring a few more goals, but it's not been a bad month, and we finish it in 9th. We eventually beat 19th placed Burnley, but we need Tyrone Mings playing as a left back to secure it, which is a bit of a shambles. We also knocked Crawley out of the FA Cup with a rotated squad. Sunderland, on the other hand, continue their tradition of being knocked out by lower opposition by losing to Barnsley. Again. We welcome Brentford to Villa Park next, and Ollie Watkins continues his fine form, putting us ahead early. The defensive mix-up gifts us a second through Boubacar Kamara, and Loftus-Cheek gets his first goal of the season to make it 3, and with that, we're only 4 points off the European spots. We are now probably out of the Carabao Cup, though, following this embarrassing first leg performance against Chelsea. We have to make some changes against Leicester, and 2 of them, Dickinson and Borland, combined to score our first goal. Loftus-Cheek gets our second just before half-time. We crumble in the second half, though, and Leicester win it 3-2 thanks to a very late winner from Casey McAteer, which means Leicester have caused me to question my existence twice in one video. We lose our next game as well, this time against Newcastle in the FA Cup, and then again against United, and our form is really starting to get a bit concerning. Now, I would have liked to have brought some players in the January window, but there's a bit of a problem with our finances. It's a problem that looks like a £75 million debt. We desperately need to offload some of these underperforming, overpaid, ageing players, but who the hell is going to take them? We do manage to beat Chelsea in the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, but we go out 4-3 on aggregate, which is only slightly less embarrassing than it was before. At least we gave it a go. It's a big month coming up now. We've got Liverpool, Arsenal and City, but before we play all of them, we've got Sunderland. Well, there's no highlights to bring you because it's a 0-0 draw, which is fine, whatever. I didn't really want to beat Sunderland anyway, because, you know, I've got a little soft spot for them still, you know. There's another draw against Liverpool, which means we haven't won in the league for 4 games. Now, hopefully, we can remedy that against Southampton. 2 goals from Lovumbo and 1 from Loftus-Cheek give us a 3-1 victory. The month ends with a draw against Arsenal and a narrow loss to Man City. Not a terrible month. Too many draws for my liking, but going into March, we're still in 9th place. March is a bit of a short month. There's only games against Newcastle and Everton. The Magpies beat us 3-1, but we record a decent win against Everton, and those results mean, surprise, surprise, we stay in 9th place. There's some winnable games in April. We've got Forest, Brighton and Palace, which I think we should be able to pick up the full 3 points from. However, before them, we've got to play Spurs, who are currently in first and flying high. Sugawara puts us ahead, and then Brennan Johnson doubles the lead. Kulusevski pulls one back for Spurs, and then they have a goal disallowed, which means that we pick up 3 enormous points. And then we follow that up with an absolute shambolic performance against 17th placed Forest. Just awful. That's then followed up with 2 1-1 draws against Brighton and West Ham. Our next win comes against Crystal Palace, with Pau Torres and Kerr Smith popping up with both goals. This match has highlighted a bit of a problem. Our attack is woefully out of form. Ollie Watkins cannot score. He hasn't scored since December, and he's averaging a 6.6. Someone earning £125,000 a week, that just isn't good enough. He's definitely one we could look to cash in on as he enters the last year of his contract. Brennan Johnson is another one. He's blowing hot and cold all season. He's another one we could look to sell to fund bringing in some new blood. There's only 2 games left of the season, and we are rooted into 9th place, but Brighton and Sunderland could overtake us, so it's important to finish the season strong, starting with a derby game against Wolves. Zito Lovumbo is the star man here. 2 frankly incredible goals from him see us on our way to a good win. A late goal from Rav Vandenberg makes for a tense finish, but we do see it out. Top of the table is looking very, very interesting going into this final game. Spurs and Newcastle are battling out for top spot, and they've both got tough games. Whichever way it goes, the league is being won by a team that's never won it before, and that's kind of cool. I like that. Now, we can't finish any higher or lower than 9th, so this game against Chelsea is just to try and beat him, I guess. That's what football is, isn't it? But they're way too strong for us, which is fine. They absolutely destroy us. It's a bit humbling. It does strengthen my resolve to get rid of some of these players though, because there's some dead weight around this bloody football club. Spurs win the league, which is, you know, really nice for them, and at the other end, Burnley, Everton and Brentford have been relegated. Sunderland survived comfortably in 13th place, which I'm very happy about because I worked very hard getting them up. It would have been annoying seeing them go back down. Overall then, a pretty decent, almost full season here at Villa Park. But as I've said throughout the video, there's a lot of overpaid, aging players who just haven't performed very well that I do need to clear out, and that's going to be tough because it's going to involve selling some very, very good players and bringing in probably some untried and untested new players. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. You got to evolve. I mean, you got to change things around. Maybe I'll go and buy some of the Sunderland's players. They will probably not sell them to me. Probably. But that's all to come in the next episode. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you thought down in the comments, leave a like on it, and if you want to, subscribe to the channel. We're over 1,000 now, which is awesome, and I want to get like higher, more numbers, bigger numbers. All the best. Cheers. Bye.